We're back with George Carlin. His new book is Napalm and Silly Putty. It's the follow-up book to Brain Droppings. George, it must be great to, with all the success you have, the 12th HBO special coming up in November, Laugh.com, and television and touring, to have these books do so well. That must really make you feel good.
Oh, man, yeah. This book, the one we're talking about, Napalm, it shows up, it debuts. Comes in at number 2, so that just thrills me. The other book didn't get that quite that high. Did well, stayed on there 40 weeks, but this one starts at number 2, so I'm thrilled with that.
And what that says, too, is I think we're ready for some intelligence again and a way of looking at life that I think we forgot about for the last 7 or 8 years. We've been through something has changed. Let me ask you about this. Going back to politics as we switch gears so quick, how do you think Bush is doing, and what do you think the ramifications of Bush in the White House? Where will we be in 4 years? Is Ralph Nader going to have a chance at winning because Bush may push us too far in the conservative direction?
I don't know about Ralph Nader. I think the people who own the country, the owners of the country, allow these two parties so that people have this feeling that there's actually a freedom of choice. And I don't think those kind of Naders or any third party people, they sort of bubble up and they get a little hot. But I think the system knows how to take care of itself. And it really only wants the one party with the two wings. But Bush is just, the triumph of ignorance. Reagan, everyone was astonished at how dense he was. In fact, there's a line in the book, when Reagan got Alzheimer's, how did they know?
How they know, yeah.
But, Bush is just, he's not intellectually curious at all, and he really has no knowledge base. He's a quote-unquote manager. And I would imagine a lot of people are rethinking the value of an MBA, a master's in business from Harvard Business School, because this guy's walking around with one in his pocket. Cheney's the president. Bush is next in line in case something happens to Cheney. That's my way to looking at it. And the owners of the country, they generally get what they want. And this time they actually had to go to the Supreme Court in front of all of us, how dastardly and how naked a grab, and say, listen, you guys know why you're here, why we put you here. Now's the time to pay us off. Yeah. And they got what they wanted.
So scary. We were talking before about the hippies. We were talking about the culture. And recently we had Richard Lewis on the show and for almost 2 hours talking about what alcohol did to his life. And I still think back it makes me think of the drug war, how the government's been fighting marijuana for so many years, putting paraquat on it so people are going to get poisoned if they're not, getting it some other way, and leaving alcohol legal. And so I'd love you to comment on the drug war and marijuana in particular, George.
Well, the drug war is, of course, a war on the Constitution, essentially. It's just one more way of reducing people's rights, of eliminating some of these pesky rights that we thought we had, which were never really rights in the first place. Anytime they can be taken away from you, they're not rights. They're privileges on loan. But marijuana and psilocybin and the things that are organic and that are not refined in the laboratory. The drugs that are taken from nature and refined in the laboratory bear the evil stamp of the human hand, and that's the heroin and cocaine and speed and the things that are, as I say, refined from plants. But when the plants are left alone, marijuana and the hallucinogens, it's pretty. I think of them as value-changing drugs. And that's why they're dangerous to the government and to the owners of the country, because they do alter your perception of fairness and the system and balance and what should be. They also should suggest their own disuse, by the way. They should be self-limiting drugs. Anything, even a good thing or something that's not bad, can be overdone, abused, and made into a problem for yourself or for someone else. So I'm not saying that everyone should use there's nothing I think anyone should use just wildly and indiscriminately.
Absolutely.
But certain things within limits and in the privacy of your own behavioral system, should be, I think, more tolerated. But especially when one of the things they blame drugs for is that these are crimes that create problems for other people. And if alcohol isn't the biggest culprit in that area, I mean, how many lives, how many billions of man-hours of working days of shortened lifespans has alcohol caused versus something as benign as marijuana or even some of the other drugs. Frankly, cocaine and heroin, all them, very, very, very few deaths because of them compared to alcohol. That's
right. I remember Ted Koppel doing a special not long ago, and he starts off by taking a drag of a cigarette or acting like he did, and he said, he says, alcohol and tobacco have caused more problems, disease, and death than all the illegal drugs combined.
Yeah.
And, it's just, and also marijuana, you were talking about how it changes your values. It also causes you to question.
Yep.
Going back to what you said before.
Yeah.
Those questions.
Aldous Huxley, in his one of the titles of one of his books, is the Doors of Perception. And that is what certain drugs have the ability to do, to heighten perception and to have reality stand out in greater contrast to the background. In other words, to see things for what they really are as opposed to how they're presented to us.
Yep. And one other comment, politically speaking, with Bush, if he did party and he did experiment and, okay, no, I'm not going to hold it against him. But how ironic to me.
Yeah.
If this man becomes a law and order, 3 strikes you're out type of a politician, like what looks like he is in Texas, while he used to party and get away with it, that pisses me off.
Sure. Yeah. Well, consistency has never been our virtue in this country.
Right.
Never really been a big one.
Right. We're wrapping it up actually with George Carlin. We hope certainly to have him on taking your calls. The book is Napalm and Silly Putty. It's so full of neat stuff. I mean, I'm barely scratching the surface. You were making the references. We were talking about. You talk about Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
And here he is, a military guy falling for all that military propaganda, like you said on your last HBO special. All this, stuff that goes back 1,000 years, collateral damage. All this comes from the military.
We're gonna make him a Christian martyr.
Yeah,
he'll be one of the Christian heroes. And I just see my thing is, Alan. I don't care if this country dissolves in a pool of whatever. It doesn't bother me because it's just, to me, it's a failed experiment to start with. So I don't worry too much about the outcome. It's more fun sitting back and watching this culture destroy itself. It's sort of amusing. When you become an American citizen, you buy a ticket to a freak show, and I say, sit back and enjoy the show.
Right.
That's what I try to do.
Well, I'll tell you, George, I can't wait to have you back on. Good luck with all your appearances. Do you still get nervous when you do these HBO specials?
Oh, no. I mean, you get a heightened sense of, it's important. It's more important than the average show to you, so you have a little bit of added stress and tension, but it's not really nervousness. It's just excitement.
All right, George, you have a great night and the rest of the week. And when that HBO special comes, I'm going to try to get in touch with you. And thank you for being on the show.
That's going to be in November, and it's called I Kind of Like It When a Lot of People Die. Thanks very, very much.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We're doing good here.
Oh, I know, man.